going, guys? Nintendo Enthusiast here. So last night, Atlus decided to drop a bomb of Persona information. First off, they dropped this image, which shows all the protagonists of all the mainline Persona games, and honestly, I was genuinely surprised that they included the protagonists of Persona 1 and 2, mainly because they barely acknowledge these games for the most part, which is kind of sad, but let's face it, Persona didn't really garner a significant following until Persona 3, and then with 4 and 5, it's just been getting bigger and bigger. And yeah, this is really exciting stuff. Persona 5 came out almost 5 years ago. It'll be 5 years old later this year, and it's seeming like Persona 6 is going to get announced or teased in the near future. So here is the Persona 25th anniversary project that's going from 2021 to 2022, starting this September. Now, as you can see, all of these say coming soon, so we know that this is in the autumn of 2022, so all of these announcements are going to happen from now until autumn 2022. But before I get to speculating on that, let's talk about these images that were shown off. Let me head over to the Nintendo Enthusiast website over here. In this first image, all of the mainline Persona games are being shown. No spin-offs at all, just the mainline games, and then, of course, their remakes or remasters that were done later on. But then we have 2 secret slots. Now, obviously, Atlus isn't going to be announcing Persona 6 and 7 at the same time, so my best guess as to why this has 2 blank slots is because I think with the next mainline Persona game, they're going to be going the Pokemon route, having 2 different versions of the same game. You know, like how Pokemon does with their red and blue and their gold and silver. I think Persona 6 is going to do the same thing. And this honestly has me curious how the fan base is going to react to this. I think depending on how they do it, they could pull it off and not catch much backlash. But if they're tying significant content to one version of the game and keeping it out of the other, and vice versa, that could be a problem and come off pretty scummy, but I don't think it's going to be like that. If anything, I think that each game is going to have specific personas in it, and possibly 1, maybe 2 characters that are exclusive to each version. I think that would be the smart way to do it. Honestly, I don't think it's really necessary that they're going to do 2 different versions of Persona 6, but it's seeming like that's what's happening. And another reason to believe that is that they sort of already did this. You might remember Persona 5 dancing in Starlight and Persona 3 dancing in Moonlight. Now, obviously, both of those games were significantly different in terms of the character and music that were involved, but they did launch at the same time, and I know plenty of people, myself included, picked up both versions. They probably saw that as a success, and let's face it, both of those dancing games could have been included into one game. They didn't have to separate it, but they did, and a lot of people probably bought into both versions. So I really wouldn't be surprised if Persona 6 has something like, I don't know, for example, Persona 6 Nightmare and Persona 6 Dreamcatcher. I don't know, I just made those up as I was going. And lastly, with this second image, as you can see, they've included all of the main protagonists from each mainline game. However, notice that there's only 1 slot missing. This leads me to believe that the main protagonist is going to be the exact same in both versions of Persona 6. Now back to the website, we have the first announcement coming this September, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more announcements to happen from now until autumn. And I'm going to go ahead and speculate that this first slot probably belongs to some type of remaster of Persona 3. I think it's been long overdue. We have 2 different versions of Persona 3 that both have their ups and downs. I think it's finally time we get that definitive version that combines Persona 3 FES and Persona 3 Portable, because they both have awesome, unique features. Now this next one, I'm hoping that Persona 5 finally comes to other platforms, preferably Persona 5 Royale because it is the better version, but I think it's long overdue as well. I don't really understand why the mainline games are exclusive to PlayStation. It's assumed that Atlus has some type of deal with PlayStation in line to keep the mainline games on their consoles, but we've already seen that Persona games have made it to PC. Most recently, Persona 4 Golden made it to Steam, so it doesn't seem out of the question that Persona 5 and possibly Persona 4 are going to find their way to Xbox and Nintendo Switch. And I think they would be perfect on Switch. There's no better combination than a long-ass JRPG with a portable console. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb for this next one and guess that possibly, because they've included the characters from Persona 1 and 2 in this new artwork, that maybe, just maybe, we're going to get some type of remake of the first 2 games. And honestly, I think it would be really cool if they brought features from the latest games into the first 2 titles, maybe some social links, or possibly mix up the combat to make it feel more modern. I know that would probably make a lot of purists angry, but they could also include the original base games as well. And then all the new stuff could be optional, but I think it would be awesome to get those games in more people's hands with some more modern elements to them. Now for this fourth slot, I think it's possible that we do get ports of the Persona Q games that launched on 3DS. We bring them forward to modern consoles, or maybe exclusively on Switch since they were exclusive on 3DS. I could see Atlus working out a deal with Nintendo making that happen. And if it's not ports of those games, then I think it is possible that we do get a new entry in the Persona Q franchise. Now, just to do a quick recap, in this first slot, I think we might get our first tease for Persona 6, right here, Persona 3 Remake, right here, Persona 4 and 5 possibly coming to Switch and Xbox, then over here, Persona 1 and 2 Remake, or redo, or I don't know, maybe just a port, I don't know. And then in the number 5 spot, Persona Q ports, or possibly a new game in that franchise. And then number 6, this is a brand new one. I think it's possible we see a new Persona fighting game. It's been a minute since we got a new one, and I think that now that the IP is getting more and more popular, I think now's the right time to launch a new fighting game, especially now that they can add a bunch of awesome Persona 5 characters in the game. And then this final slot goes to Codename X, which you might remember was a game that was revealed a while back that was pretty much obviously a Persona mobile game. The art style, the vibe that it was giving off was very Persona. And yeah, I think that's going to be in one of these slots, which I'm probably going to give a shot. You know, I don't play mobile games, but I love Persona a lot, so I'll give it a whirl. Now, keep in mind everything I just said could be ordered way different than this. Maybe this first announcement is something small, and then at the very end we end up getting a Persona 6 announcement. I was just sort of filling in the slots, and they could be in any random order, but I think that's what we're possibly going to see in all of these announcement slots. And yeah, I think this is a really exciting time. 7 big announcements coming. That's pretty wild. I love this kind of stuff. Despite Persona growing exponentially over the years, I still think it's a pretty underrated franchise and IP overall, and I just really hope this IP continues to thrive. I also do want to add that if they do end up bringing Persona 4 to some type of modern platform aside from Steam, definitely play Persona 4 Golden. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I cannot stress that enough. It's freaking amazing. The characters, the story, and the combat, like everything is great. Of course, there are certain elements that didn't age that well, but if you find the combat overwhelming, just crank the difficulty down and just enjoy the story, because it's worth it for that alone. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say today, guys. I want to know what you think. What announcements do you think we're going to see in the future? Do you think we're going to end up getting a Persona 6 tease this year? I think that's totally possible. Like I said, it's been 5 years since Persona 5 came out in Japan, which is crazy, man. Time flies, I tell you what. Also, one other thing I wanted to throw out here is I wanted to pimp my Twitter. I don't really do that much on this channel. I would love if you guys followed me over on Twitter at BrettNLL. I'm always posting memes or even creating some memes for Twitter, and I'd love to talk to you guys and get more feedback on my channel and everything over on Twitter. I think that would be really awesome. So yeah, be sure to let me know what you think about everything, and if you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up. If you didn't, hit that thumbs down. I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.